I'm getting less than 2 Icosa a day. I don't know if that helps
Okay,
you.
yeah, that's correct. That's about 3%, 3.2% a day. Okay, yeah.
The Hedron staking pool is more competitive than the Icosa pool. Like per dollar value you put in the pool, the Icosa staking does better.
I don't do the USD amount. I do the APY based on how much Icosa you're getting from period 1 to 2, and then the next and the next and the next. So yeah, and then the average, and then APY over 365 days.
Got it.
It's actually more APY in there than the Hedron staking pool at the moment than the Wattses, but the Watts are more Icosa, but the APY actually and the Hedron stakings are more.
There's a stacked lineup in here. How's it doing? How's everyone doing?
Good.
Yeah, what's up, Rich?
Just going to and from work. Yeah, excited to talk with my brothers.
So Dev Huey on Twitter, I just put it in the Icosa chat. He does some good returns analysis, or at least I've seen some info from him in the past.
Yeah, I like his what he presents. I like his presence on Twitter. A lot of really good stuff he posts and comments on.
I agree.
I don't know about you all, but I get adoption amplifier vibes with Hedron and Icosa right now.
I do too. I think Hedron has, specifically in the short run, a chance, or shorter run, a chance of some pretty impressive price increase. I'm trying to hear from alphas in the space their opinions on the Icosa parity, the Icosa hex parity, because I see that as very useful for long-term or even short-term price appreciation.
Yeah, I believe when everyone, it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when the majority of hexagons will realize the utility that Alex has built, and what that does to the scarcity of hex, which, as we know, does amazing things, and how this is really just this it's just rocket fuel for price appreciation on all levels. And hex is the best crypto, in my opinion, that's ever been created. And to have this, the utility being derived from that, it's like I can't think of anything better to build on top of.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of potential here.
Fish, did I see you invited Hexecutioner into the chat? Oh, that was Siggy. Cool. Hopefully he comes in and starts talking. How you doing today, Hamish?
Yeah, working from home, so just mucking about really as well.
Nice,
Just on the
nice.
roster for banking. Banking this afternoon, with like two people have to approve transactions, and then two people approve the invoices. So it's just checking that bank account's correct and stuff like that. And so, yeah,
What are your guys' thoughts? I asked this. Actually, no, I didn't ask this. What are you guys' thoughts on Maximus Poly?
I think
I was talking.
I was sorry, Fish. Yeah, I was just gonna say that it's only a net positive. Personally, I'd rather do my own bidding. Although I don't know, there's a lot of unknowables there, so I don't know if I'm going, to regret that. Not taking a part in having someone else kind of do it for me, but uh yeah, I feel like there's advantages to being kind of like seeing what slips through the cracks from the big boys. And yeah, I think it's good. 100% good.
Yeah,
I
me
thought I was
too.
going to be more involved, but I think I'm going to be sitting on the sidelines more in terms of like trying to scoop up, the HSIs and whatnot. But I mean, I guess I was talking to Bite about this a little earlier, Bite Disciple, and kind of wondering if Hollywood would be a good way to just kind of sit in the sidelines, just get some type of a minimum exposure to the liquidation options.
Yeah, I
So I
think
don't
it could.
know enough about it. I got to look into it more. Sorry.
You thinking, Maxim?
Just trying to get a read on people. Um, I just one thing I find interesting is that everyone thinks that people are going to bid like crazy on these HSIs. I don't see a lot of people saying they're actually going to bid like crazy on the HSIs.
I'm not bidding on. I'm not even gonna bid on the HSIs unless something's like blaring me in the face. It's
Exactly.
just like it just depends how much money you have too. Like how hard are you sharking T shares? Like that it's a subgroup of people. There's definitely a good amount of them, but and then there's a good amount of those people that don't even know what the hell this is. They just talk. They just think like they just have to hear it a lot of times over the months and months and months. So I don't know if people will react to this as suddenly. I can't really tell yet. I mean, I think it's not so complicated, but what I think I've looked at it for 5 months straight. Like most people only got like an hour and a half, maybe two or three here and there, and it's just like there's a lot of stuff going on. But I think people attach themselves to upside potential in these positions a lot. Like I know maybe if you have a large amount of money, that's not really going to be your goal. But if you're looking for like new products and like making a little bit of a splash somewhere, like speculating on some of these lower liquidity situations when things are moving and hot, but don't, I see a problem that a lot of people do that are kind of new is they immediately stake all their stuff. And I'm like, give it 10, I mean, stake a little bit, stake 20%, 30%, whatever it is, but it gives you no flexibility. You just want to make sure you have some flexibility, and that means liquid funds. If you don't want to get all tied up every single which way, and then you're like, wow, I really only have $1,000 liquid. I got like 60 grand tied up all around it. But you know what I mean? So just make sure you're a little bit flexible because these things move a lot when they go. Like if any of these assets decide to go, if Hex decides to go at all, even just a fake out to 10 cents, these assets are going to go berserk. And that's without the supply shock. So I just don't know what the supply shock looks like in this situation in particular because it's a little bit different. But I think altogether, like the way that Hedron's acting over a long period of time with a little bit of liquidity in it now, it's nothing but incredible in a bear market. It's actually one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Like sustainably as a product that wasn't marketed as like a joke. You know, like if it was a joke, I kind of would get it. Like people buy it, yeah, like it's crazy. But people are buying this because they understand to a degree that you're buying a piece of hex that will travel a bit faster as far as ROI per, you know, dollar at the moment.
Yeah, I'm with you on keeping your options open. I do feel like some people do get caught up in one thing and they limit their ability to act on other opportunity. And I do, they're not protecting their downside. They're going all in on something, and that in my experience doesn't work out as well. I think I'm with you.
Yeah, like for example, like when that BMBP thing came out, like I speculated like $1,000 on it. I made like 6 grand on that shit. I was like, fuck yeah. Then I took half of it out, but I wasn't expecting money, right? Like I was just like, oh, I like this stuff. But sometimes I knew the liquidity was low and I knew it was new. And I've watched enough Richard Hart videos to say when to buy an asset. When it's low liquidity, it has some product market fit, a community, and it actually works. And you know, that doesn't happen that often in crypto. Rarely does it happen at all, like in crypto. Like I just don't see much of it. Richard, Alex, Maxi, a couple guys, like a couple guys that I'm like sneaking around talking to, but like nobody mainstream.
And it's
Yeah,
happening in a bear market where we have so much potential aside from the short term price that we've even had.
uh, um, the volatility definitely will be more in Hedron, but you know that works both ways. So, um, yeah, whatever Hex does, Hedron most likely is gonna do better. In the price appreciation realm. I like what you say, Jim Rat, as far as like, you know, making sure you don't stake it all and you have some liquid because it's just nice to have that flexibility, to be able to take some profits if something, you know, if the price just flies. Um, so yeah, I've balanced myself in this ecosystem by not going all in on say one pool, but feeling like I just want equal parts of all the different aspects, you know, from the Watsa to the Icosa pool and the Hedron pool. But definitely I have enough liquid Hedron to be able to take advantage of both the HSI auction and then also potential of, you know, big price appreciation for Hedron and you know, taking a little bit of profit. We're pretty much in like a Hedron's like in its own bull market. It had already begun. There's actually a potential that Hedron is the first one to run in this bull market, like sustainably, and Hex could be right behind it, while the whole market takes a nosedive. Um, so yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this timing plays out. You know, I'm 100% just patient with the release of Pulse Chain and Pulse X. Not once have I thought, oh man, what's taking so long? Like, yeah, time the fucking bottom, RH. Like he might be doing that, and chances are, if we have the bottom, he's gonna wait until we have the retest of the bottom. I think until Pulse Chains launch, which might be, you know, let's see, March, April, May, something like that next year. Got there, Mike.
Yeah, I think when things start running, Hedron will outpace Hex 3 to 1 minimum as far as X's. Now, if you have $1 billion, you try to take it out in one day. Hedron's not going to be able to. Well, neither of them are going to be able to sustain that. But the larger volume would go to Hex. But the thing is, well, I guess you guys, whatever. what guys do, and I know some of you guys know this, but what guys do is they just, when let's say you have $100,000 in hex and $100,000 in hedron, and they both run, but hedron runs, 16x more over like the year. At the end of the year, you take 10% off of that, 10%, and you sell it, and you just don't think about it again. Unless you were really, if you have money, obviously accumulating at the lows would be beneficial. And that's what I would suggest. But you only got to take out once, like you don't, but you can't be wrecked about it and be staring at it all day. Like if you're going to do that, you're going to lose it all. But if you just wait patiently and, these things have a lot of liquidity. They're not going anywhere overnight, but at the same time, they're light enough, and Hex is light enough where they can still run a substantial amount. That's why I'm excited about Hedron. Like I know for a fact Hedron is going to run way harder than Hex, like disgustingly harder at the end of the day. But they're derivative products that like people own both of, and they'll be traded. There'll be a ratio. There already is a ratio for Hex and Hedron on each chain. Like it kind of moves and jives a little bit with the lower liquidity stuff. But like, there's people that trade that. Like if Hex goes up one tier to like 3.1 and Hedron goes up one tier to like 0.00040 whatever, people swap that. They'll swap 10% on that. Like, but on Ethereum it's hard because the fees. But if you have a lot, but again, that's why this fee thing, like if only people really understood what the fee structure really does to the landscape, it changes everything. Like when you're doing fees for no dollars, like it changes everything. And we need it for adoption in general. Like I'm not saying we need it tomorrow, but like, man, imagine all this stuff with 1 million people, instant transactions for 3 pennies.
Yep. I just in regards to like liquidity, and people taking profits, and doing it in an educated way so as not to create too much slippage, like I think that when their portfolio gets to a certain point, I'm hoping, and I actually do think that the majority of people will look into how to benefit the ecosystem while taking profits, and obviously understanding how you can provide liquidity to do that. And I think I think it's the most educated ecosystem, and so I think the probability of that being high, like it was in the past, in a sense for Hex, is up there, and I don't see that changing. And I think that we have
if people
really
understood
intelligent.
how oversold Hedron got about 140 days ago too, like we forget this sometimes, but I was sitting there looking at it every day on stream, like was saying we were excited. Dude, it got sold to oblivion. Like we were scooping up, I think I scooped up $1 billion for like $136.
That was an epic play, bro. You got it on the bottom, right?
And I got it for free from I sold it from my Pulse Doge Live because I got a free airdrop, and I was like, I'm selling this shit for Hedron today because I know Hedron's better.
Yes,
So far it has been, but I might get perma-wrecked if they do whatever the fuck they're doing. But anyway, the point is, like, you watch this all the way through, and if you remember those Gunther God candles, like, he dumped 800 grand US dollar, and I'm pretty sure the thing was 4 weeks old or some shit. Like at the time, I remember 800 grand US dollar in a candle. The dude's got mental issues, bro. Like, why would you dump it like that? Like, what's the rush,
so
bro?
true.
You can do it in 20
so
minutes rather than 4 seconds. Like,
someone had to set the example of what not to do when you're a shark.
oh my god, dude, I wait for him to buy and like sell his Hedron, and I just get in right behind him on the other end. I'm like, time to sell. Gunther's buying back. He's stressed out.
That's not a bad idea.
Hedron, I have a feeling he's going to want to sell again during the HSI auctions or around that time.
Well, they're doing that thing. Okay, I'm not talking shit about it because to be honest, I was supposed to do a stream on this shit earlier, but it was so fucking confusing and I cared about it so not enough. So I couldn't like get myself to think about it enough. But they're doing something crazy over there. But I was talking to this guy live, one of the guys, the moderators in the group, and I was like, "You're telling me all this good shit, just like Pulse Doge was, but I still think that these guys are sharking liquidity and just like holding the shit up, and I don't really trust them. It's not like they're not trustworthy. I'm not saying that they would do anything. I'm saying like, why I got to put my money in this shit up people I don't trust? What a stressful situation. Like, who knows what they're doing? I've already seen Gunther's God candles. Like, I don't need to see them again.
I think the nature of like business partnership too, in that sense, is much more volatile than say having a magnanimous leader such as the OA of Hex.
I like the Hedron OA better.
Yeah. I do too. But
I'm just
nonetheless,
kidding. He just talks a lot more with me, to be honest. So I guess that's a good thing. Like I get
yeah,
him
no,
like once a month maybe, but he's hard to hawk down too, man.
I'm sure.
I spam people's DMs like crazy, and I know what people who are busy look like. That man is busy because I say very nice things in long paragraphs, and I beg him, and
The
he still.
the point I was making is just the fact that like, having multiple people act as protection of the price and the liquidity, that's much more difficult to pull off simply because everyone has different ideas, right? Whereas if it's just one person, I think that it's much easier to pull that off.
Yeah, it just comes down to adoption long term. Like this is all at the end of the day. Like if none of us had any hexahedron, we would be speculating about who the fuck these guys were and why they, you know what I mean? So you got to remember that too. Like when it comes to future adoption, now these things will pump even with the community alone. Like for real, like these things are good and done pretty well. So like they will hold value and people will click on them. But long term, like depending on a lot of different factors, like some of this centralization stuff really bothers people. And I'm not saying it bothers me. I could give a fuck. But it bothers investors that have lots of money. Like some guys that they won't even consider it. They're like, yeah, I've heard this fucking story before. It's like, oh, but it produces yield. And it's like, if Joker came out with it and it was the same code, would you buy it? No, you would not. If Joker came out with Hedron and he had a dev team that built it, would you buy it? Nope, you wouldn't. So
I think
so it's like a lot of it is like, yes, it's here, and like we need to work on adoption and like overall, like what are we all gonna bring to like the masses if it comes to that point? Like how can we make this digestible? And I think a lot of the guys in here do a great job, frankly. I mean, there's some videos and some guys that do good.
absolutely.
Wish we had 300 more guys, like that were just like cranking it out.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that adoption is definitely going to come simply because Hex solves the most important problem, which is just the function of money and having the store of value, and having Hedron and Icosa built on that solid foundation, which is essentially, the better Bitcoin, right? And you need that as the
I hear you
base,
on the
right? The
store
foundation.
value thing. I hear you. Like I hear you. But like if Richard went in the middle of Times Square and put a gun to someone's head and pulled the trigger, would you care about that store value?
I don't quite understand what you're saying.
I mean, like if everyone in the world saw Richard Hart walk into the middle of Times Square on the news and shoot someone, would the store value be the same?
I think that's a good question. I think of that with Pulse Chain. Like I think there's chances for things. I'm not saying Pulse Chain's going to go wrong, but there's chances for Richard Hart to look bad. And if Richard Hart looks bad, I think about what would that mean for Hex, for example. I do think it is I think it's worth considering myself.
No,
And
no, the only reason I bring it up, and there's not that many people in here, so it's chill. Is because Richard's in a stressful situation right now, and all men are men, you know. Like at some point, you're just a dude. Like you gotta like stuff gets crazy. I've gone crazy before. Maybe not done anything wild, but like I felt crazy at least. But like nothing was always, you know, nothing was really going on. But I'm saying like I think it's important to remember what like I bought Hex because Richard Hart was genius, but I didn't look at the code. And I didn't look at the store value and I didn't know what MetaMask was. But I still bought it, you know, because I was like, yep, these guys like this rule the world, you know? And I think it is important to remember, like, this is a lot to do with Richard. And that's why I'm hard on him, right? Like, I don't care if everyone hates me and shit. Like, I like to be hard on him because it's like, hey, man, whether this is freedom of whatever, it's like, if you say the N word one more time on the internet, like, I'm going to come over and smack you on the back of the fucking head as hard as I fucking can.
Jim Rat, I can barely hear you. I don't know.
Really?
Can
My
anyone
bad.
else?
Damn it. Sorry, give me a second.
Talking on your cell phone and like a text comes through or a call, then it like
Oh,
mutes
I
your
see.
microphone.
Let me put it on Do Not Disturb. I'm sorry.
No worries. So you can just like leave the group and then come back in and it'll resolve it.
Is that better?
Can we- I can't quite tell. Say something again.
Is that better, sir?
Not quite.
Here,
I don't
let
know.
me
Is that
go.
the
I'll
same
go
for
onto my
you?
computer.
That's better. That's better.
I'm so used to talking into my like expensive mic on my thing that I'm like used to like speaking wherever. It like picks it up. Is that better though?
it's a lot better.
Yeah, it
Or should I say?
seems a lot better. Yeah. Just really value what you
Well,
have
yeah,
to say.
basically
and,
my only point that I was
yeah, man.
making is that like it is important to remember like this product has to do with Richard whether we like it or not. And Richard can really do whatever he wants. And one of the reasons I never liked Bitcoin for real is because I was like, I like to know who the guy is. Like that's kind of like my whole play. Like I'm not the smartest guy. I'm not gonna look at the code. I'm like, I could figure out a dude in 10 seconds. You know, and when I found Richard, I was like, man, this dude knows. He's teaching us about SHA-256 mining. He's teaching us about everything. Like, wow, what a treat. And I was like, yeah, this dude knows everything at crypto. But remember, you know, I definitely didn't anticipate that the money would change him at all. But like, you know, the money can put factors in the way as far as like male brain. So, you know, it's a bear. He might have a lot more insight on all of this than us as well. And that does not mean that I don't think this shit is going to pump ridiculous. But when I'm talking 5, 8, 10 years down the line, before you stake up all your shit for 15 years, and I'm not saying that you can't do a 15-year stake. That's dumb. I have 15-year stakes. But if you have $1 billion, you stake whatever the fuck you want. But if you're a dude who's like fucking scratching and crawling to make it, keep some liquid funds. The USD price appreciation will do most of the work for you. And the staking is generally to keep yourself away from your freaking computer. For the average person, there's strategies with it too as well.
True. You're saying,
I
I
think
think that maybe like in regards to Richard, you know, doing something crazy, right? And just that attachment to a figure and the OA. I think that maybe he has some, first of all, I think from a probability standpoint, he's not going to do anything like that. Now, as far as like long term, maybe he has something up his sleeve in regards to like an exit plan to where the OA will need is dependent on less and less as the years go on. And somehow he exits and no longer has that influence. I don't know. thinking outside the box here.
I think world adoption is just that. Like, if that's really what he wants, there's a big difference between wanting world adoption and wanting $100 billion. Like, those two things are different.
He's in it for
World
the glory.
adoption
He has
means
enough money.
everyone's using your shit. And, the lion's share of the Hex USD value was made from the first year of Hex, from people that bought in the first year. And that's not necessarily unusual, but it is important to highlight. And nobody likes to highlight it in this community because, the truth is weird. But like, the truth is, like, for you to buy a position in Hex that is like a Squid's position probably costs like 100 grand. That's 0.001% of the supply. Actually, it's 0.01% of the supply. So you just got to remember, like, when you're investing, you have to look at the liquidity you're investing, the amount of money that you have into. That's all that you're looking at. Yes, there's a lot of things that go on with the token. Hex prints more Hex all the time for waiting, but that does not change the liquidity pool. So the liquidity pool has $5 million in it, let's say. I think it's like 8 altogether across all. If one dude has $10 million, he empties every pullout. But we have a lot of smart motherfuckers in this community, and Richard's a smart motherfucker. And he's the liquidity, like, they know how to do all this stuff, I guess. Like, they keep everything stable, and that's good or bad, but it's not just as free flowing and organic as people would imagine. If we all died and went to hell, like, this thing would not just be cranking.
You're right.
This is about more
You're right.
people buying behind you. This is about more humans getting involved. That's what this is. And to do that, like, I don't see it right now. Like, in Hedron, I see it. In Icosa, I see it. In Hex, I don't see it. I don't see any inclusivity. I don't see any, because they just bank on the price appreciation to get people stuck. They don't even care if we look right now. They're like, "I'll wait till it does 20%, and then you can look at it."
I think the liquidity that's provided at 3 cents is actually a great opportunity for keeping the price inexpensive and giving people a discount. And I think the liquidity will thin out to the upside when they feel.
I
And
think it's pretty thin, to be honest.
you think what?
I think the liquidity is pretty thin, like, as far as assets that people have made millions and millions of dollars off of. And that's the one thing that makes me super bullish on Hex, really. Like, in the same token that I would say, like, yeah, maybe some serious investors won't get involved because Richard's a little bit out there and the whole thing's a little, like, centralized. It's like, if one dude with 700 grand comes in, it's like, pew! And it's just, that's the truth. So it's like,
Listen, not everyone's like you in the sense that they buy a crypto simply because of the founder. Like, I was kind of turned away from Hex in the beginning because I got flooded out. Yeah, but in reality, like, the code is the code, it's unchanged. And now, I look at it as like that's the real value, because it doesn't really matter what happens to Richard Hart. I mean, it does, because of like
I disagree 100%.
the control of the OA at this point in time, but I think in the future it'll be less likely, less, how should I say?
You're going to say he's going to have less coins.
Yeah, but listen, he's in it for the glory. Like, okay,
Again,
I agree with you.
again.
Maybe it's not maybe it's not a perfect example, but excuse me, a perfect crypto necessarily, but I think that it's the best that could have been created in
At the
terms
time,
of.
so don't stake all your shit.
Yeah, no, I don't stake all my shit.
You know what I mean?
I'm
Like,
with
it's
you
just like, I
100%.
try to reiterate that too. It's like,
Yeah, no.
I've made more money than I've ever made in my life in the last 100
Yeah.
days sitting here.
Yeah.
In a
So
bear market,
I think
and
you're
if it was
right.
all in Hex, I would have gone very bad.
Yeah, no, I love your message as far as becoming a mature investor. And I think that's a super important thing to tell people. Like, you need to take profits. And when you take profits on the way up and you're not an absolutist in your thinking, then that not only benefits you emotionally on the way up, and you can actually hold longer doing that. That's also what's more beneficial for the price and the ecosystem.
I'm
DCA
just
out.
bullish on Hex in general because people stake it. And if I've seen what these other coins do, and nobody stakes that shit. You know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah, I
3.69%
mean,
inflation is not a lot. But
as as a store of value, it's genius. Like no one's ever launched money out this far. I think in anything, even
but just
outside of
remember that
crypto.
does not mean people will stake for the rest of humanity. I'm not saying they won't. You know what I'm saying? Like things change, interfaces change,
Yeah, I mean,
optionality
I
comes
just
out.
think that from a store of value standpoint,
Yeah,
it's
it's
the
good.
best
It's
model that
really
exists
good.
currently.
It's really good. I buy it, dude. I bought it yesterday, and I don't play with anyone when it comes to buying this stuff. It's like this.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's right, wrong, in the middle, morally right. This shit's gonna pump your face off.
Okay, ready? Now that we're talking Moon Boy math,
It's gonna go,
law
dude.
of
The chart gonna
reduction.
go berserk.
Listen to this: law of diminishing returns from Bitcoin 1 to Bitcoin 2 was a 5x reduction, and if the same were to happen with Hex, then that's basically a $54 Hex if 22.7 cents was the bottom.
I could
And if that's
totally
the case,
see it, bro. Like people say, like
me
people were
too,
saying that in the bull run, and I was like, no way, dude. There's $1 million in liquidity in the ETH hex pool, dude. If that shoots up to 80 million,
bro.
that's
And
an
and
80
if
fucking x on that pool.
if if Hex hits $50, bro, do you know what Hedron would be if it's even anywhere close to its ceiling price?
Probably penny ish.
Bro, no, higher. Let's see, who was it? Siggy Hexdust, I think, posted something in here early this morning where he related the hex price to the Hedron price and the seal, and it being close to ceiling and what that would look like. And
It's
it's
like a
crazy.
long ways
Like,
away though.
oh, Solix. Yeah, thank you.
If their liquidity is the
$50
same,
hex would be like 3 or 4 cent Hedron, I believe.
yeah, but I also wouldn't be shocked to see as like things like $2, like $1.50, like again, crypto is that volatile. Like depending on what happens, like things
That's
happen.
why,
Yeah.
yeah, that's why it's so important to not be an absolutist. Like a lot of people are in crypto where they're immature investors and they're like, well, I'm not touching it. I'm not doing anything until I'm a billionaire. And then something happens, like you say, right? And shit goes down. Like, and
It's like,
they
well, you're
didn't
not
take
a
any
billionaire,
profit.
but you could have snagged Bitcoin for 3,400 if you would have had some money, you dingus. Like, like the
Yeah.
guys that I talk to, they're like, I
Yeah.
put all my Bitcoin in Celsius at 20K, and then that guy stole it, and I'm like, well, you would have lost most of it anyway. So, like, they literally and these
Yeah.
are smart dudes. Like, these guys have great jobs and great careers and awesome people around them, and it's like they just don't give a fuck. Like they're just like, it's like I can't relate to them. I'm like, dude, you work every day at this fucking job. They're like, yeah, I'm just used to it.
Yeah. I think a lot of it in regards to like not taking enough profits, this muted top that we had in Bitcoin in the last cycle, it taught a lot of people had to learn the hard way.
Are you talking the
To,
double top? Oh,
yeah,
so
yeah.
deadly.
Because it was like, everyone was waiting for that freaking blow off top before they took their big profits, and it never fucking came. And a lot of people, held on to their bags all the way down. Like most people in crypto give their money, their profits back to the market because they're not DCAing out and they are absolutist thinkers. And, it's a slippery slope. It's very important to be a mature investor. And that's something that most often takes failing to become, and
You
so
have
I
to
think
do
a lot of
something
people,
really hard. You have to have done something really hard before because it just takes patience. It's really all just patience. Like, because I can see it already since I'm kind of new to like staring at my computer all the time. I'm not used
yeah,
to it, so I don't get too attached to it. But like I could see, I could hold up the two HexF charts and the two Hedron charts and just sit there and arb them all day. And I'd end up losing my money because I'd just be fucking staring at the goddamn screen, clicking buttons all day. When really I could have waited till the next day and then sold 10% if it was up a little bit, or just waited if I really needed something. Like, like you cannot, just because you're excited about crypto doesn't mean the chart gives a fuck. Like, you don't have to sell when you get excited. Don't get excited. try not to get
For me,
excited. Literally, like that's one of my biggest.
here's the part that I think is really important is I think people need to write their trading plan down and stick to it. So it's like that saying that's plan your trade and trade your plan. Like I have an X factor and percentages and I have it all written out to where like I'm doing this unemotionally on the way up. So that way, whatever the price does, I'm good. If the price moons, I'm good. If it drops, I'm good.
All
And
upside.
that's really the best way to be because then your emotions are out of it. And as we know, like it's really easy to be humble at the bottom of a bear market, right? But how easy is it to be humble at the top of a bull market? Like fucking almost no one is. But that when we need to take those lessons that we learned from the bottom of the bear and retain those on the way up. So yeah, that's a huge challenge. And a lot of people will change their plan because of euphoria, and euphoria is a fucked up emotion, like
They get
you,
bored, bro. Dude, I'm telling you, they get fucking
yeah,
bored.
yeah.
And they're just like, oh, let me go to this front end. Oh, wait, there's like, oh, I earned 3% on this. It's like, no, dude, stop. Don't stop.
Shiny object
Just go to
syndrome a little bit. Good talking to you, Jim Rat. I appreciate, your message that you put out there to people, and you
appreciate that.
definitely know how to kind of unpack things and look at it from different angles, which is, I think, really the key. And try not to be, a know-it-all. Like it's like the balance between being humble but being confident. It's a
Well,
fine line,
crypto
but
does that to you, and it weeds out
yep.
everyone really quick because you really have to pay attention almost like hours a day. Like it's like, dude, I know when people are bluffing because they're just like, oh, I've been working for the last 3 months, and I'm like, dude, you ain't been paying attention to this shit. This shit's complicated.
Hey, this
So it's
group
like in
in
crypto
particular,
nowadays, it's every day if you want to be like, if that's what you want to be focusing on. But again, I don't agree with it for everyone
and
personally, but I
and
appreciate
like,
the kind words.
yeah, brother, yeah, for sure. I think this group is one of the best. Like, I think I'm with you as well. Like, I agree with you in regards to not necessarily needing to know all the technical aspects of everything and knowing everything down to its you know certain decimal place, but you know I also have a bit of a gift to be able to know how to listen to smart people. And I think this Icosa Telegram chat is amazing in that regard, especially Executioner. I mean, everyone in here, though, like, adds so much to it. And
Dude, I
the
had to
amount
come
of.
in here and talk because I used to watch this motherfucker's videos and I had to block him because he was being a dick.
Who?
His name is Obscure Crypto.
Oh, yeah, where he
Dude, I
just
was like,
comes
I
in
love your
and.
channel, and he was like, you're a fucking leech piece of shit. I was like, Jesus
What?
Christ. Yeah, and then I just was like, and then he just called me like, so if you see him in here, tell him he's a dick.
Yeah, we think he's high-low, but I don't know for sure.
What does that mean? A little spectrum action? Is that what you're talking about? This dude's a dick, man. Now I feel bad. I don't want to be. I hope he's all right. But yeah, I'm gonna get out of here too. Yeah, I'm real stoked on the. What up, Siggy?
What's up, bro?
How you doing?
We think it's a little high or whatever. And then he started getting a following, right? And he started talking in his videos, but I haven't watched his videos in a while. Just one where I heard him talking, but he's never been on here with us. Just like
I'm gonna tell everyone to block him.
yeah.
I'm just
Tell him
joking.
to
I'm
follow
just
Jeff
joking.
Hunt.
I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna block him and not talk to him anymore. I just hate how fucking like everyone's. Dude, I literally commented
Yeah,
on
no,
his
that
video.
was
I was
like
like,
going for
I
it.
love your channel.
Yeah.
And I watched 3 of the fucking videos in my life. I was just like, hey, this is a nice video. Let me click on it while I was streaming because we were talking about Icosa. And he's like, you're a fucking leech. I'm like, dude, you just screen recorded what these dudes were saying.
Right.
But anyway, I'm excited about Hedron. Just a FYI, like my co-host, who's he's like a fucking he's a smart dude, like, and he's sharp with what he buys, and that motherfucker buys Hedron. I can tell you that. Like, and he does not buy Hex, like, but he's newer, so don't think he's never like he's not been around the block, but he used to be in banking and all this stuff, and now that he knows crypto, he is attracted to Hedron, like in just the way we
Now,
are, and
is it
it's because of the upside, a lot of upside
yeah? Is
potential
that
there.
why? Because the upside, it's not so much like how people are loading the boat because the auctions are coming up. It's just because he sees the
Yeah, the
potential.
upside's there. Like the reason I didn't get so involved with Maximus DAO is because
Yeah,
personally, like in the under $100,000 buy price range, like I just didn't care enough because I was like, I could accumulate Hedron right now, and this will probably do, 3, 4x off the top of what it already did. And if it does that, you know, I take 10% off that, and I'll be chilling for a year.
now, are you guys mostly holding it liquid or are you staking some of it?
Sam made the not noob mistake. Like some people do love to stake, but he staked a little too much. I didn't stake any of my heat. Well, I think I did in the beginning, but after the 30 days or something, like I took a couple of them out. And I was just like, I'm going to keep my Hedron liquid, but I'm stacking that Icosa staking pool. And that's just because I
Yeah,
like Icosa like it feels more comfortable to hold in a staking pool to me. Like
yeah,
I don't want to get front ran on Hedron because I feel like it's just more volatile, like percentage wise.
yeah.
And
Because
I'd rather be able
Maximus
to
owns it,
scoop
right?
that than like have, you know what I mean? Like I just buy more rather than like accumulate right now if it goes low.
Yeah. Hey, Maxim, in your current video, you were saying like out of
Yeah, I did say that. What would the
Honestly,
point
even
be
if the
of
yield was
staking
worse, I
Hedron?
would still stake my Icosa,
yeah,
I think.
I think the point of staking Hedron is if you know you're going to hold it anyway, might as well get some yield. That's how I think of it. And in some of my other videos, I was telling people I was trying to be pretty intentional about keeping my Hedron stake lengths low because I wanted the optionality, and I have multiple accounts. Um, some bigger, longer stakes, and some smaller, just for that main reason. And one of the obvious main things that I was trying to line things up for was November 13th. I wanted to have the full force of my Hedron available if I needed to. And it's really interesting seeing Poly come out very likely earlier than the big HSI days because that would be something that if I had a bunch of Hedron staked looking to November 13th, I wouldn't be able to participate as heavily in that as I'd like. And and it's interesting to see that happen now. And that's what happens. You can't know what's going to happen, and I think that's a little bit of what Jim Rat Crypto is saying is leave your options open. And it's funny because I was trying to do that, and here's another project which I'm not personally. I don't think I'm going to
Spearhead.
go for the Poly token, so I'm fine, and I actually have a lot of liquid Hedron too. Um,
I think
but
you'll have a
but
lot of
yeah,
leverage on that. I think you'll love the leverage you feel when the auctions go on, and you can dibble dabble with a amount that's a little bit more probably larger than some people. I think you'll. That's kind of what I'm going for. I'm kind of going for the like. I don't have to speculate on the HSIs, but I would love to if the premium gets juicy, just to stack that up.
yeah, I'm curious right now. It's very hard to predict. I mean, I think people's emotions now may be different than in the moment. I'm surprised how few people are really excited, at least vocally, about bidding on HSIs.
Well, I think the guys that got in before the 15x and like the floor we're at kind of are all in the same little homie group in a way. If that makes sense. Like I feel like because we're all nerds in the bear market at this point, like none of us are like normal people probably because we're all sitting in the fucking Icosa chat. Um,
That's true.
you know what I mean? Like there's a good amount of us, but we're all the same, and we all like. I watch all your guys' videos from the dude, listen in here sometimes, and I'm like, yeah, I kind of know all this stuff too, but it's like I feel like I'm in the room talking to you guys, like we would be having the same conversation. So a lot of the same guys that felt like they got like I have 10x Hedron stakes that I'm in love with. I mean, Hex original stakes that they're my favorite stakes in history. Like I'm attached to those babies forever because of the 10x multiplier. Like I just love them. I don't know why, but like
Well, I
you know
think
what
you
I
have a
mean.
good
Like
reason to like those.
we're all like in this weird little group where it's like we did something that's kind of unique and hard to do and hard to figure out, and it kind of puts us more into this bubble. So now it's kind of our goal. And it's a little shitty, I know, but this is kind of how I do it at least. It's like I try to educate people all the time. Nobody listens about a lot of the stuff. Now, when it comes to safety and stuff, people generally listen. But like we need to have the people that know this stuff know this stuff. There's enough people around now that they can fill someone in. We need to like marathon stream it. Like the only thing that Hedron has not done yet, and it's done everything right. I mean, not the token, but everything else. Um, we need to just be a little bit more spammy. I'm afraid, just a hair, just a touch. And I would love to just do like an ignorant long stream about this shit, like when it launches and stuff. Like obviously, I'd love to talk to Alex because I don't want to know how he feels about that because I wouldn't want to do it if it was like he's like, that's not really necessary. I would feel like, oh yeah, okay, if you feel that way. But like, I feel
I
like I
think
wish more people were talking about how cool this is because then it will get more people to talk. But Sam publishes the numbers on how many people buy Hedron versus Hex. They are astonishing. I've never seen anything like those numbers.
I think when yields, if Hedron's price starts rising quickly, or Icosa, and if yields start coming into the pool in a way that people are surprised by, and they will start talking about it. I don't think they'll be able to avoid it. And if that happens, I think FOMO will set in.
Oh, and there's a couple other guys, by the way. So I took a paid group with this guy called Cultivate Crypto Charlie in 2019 for crypto. You guys might know him. He has a YouTube channel. He's friends with Dollar Cost Crypto. Um, but like he's been doing this shit for 4 or 5 years, and I think Dollar Cost got in his ear at some point because they were always on the fence about talking about all of this kind of stuff. He's going all in. He's talking about Hex, Zen, Hedron, Icosa, like just like kind of doing the thing like a lot of us are doing, like the DeFi thing. And that dude, they do these paid courses. They get hundreds and hundreds of guys. So like I'm telling you, education wise, this is the best community in all of crypto. There's no chance. And
Yeah,
I'm talking
it's the
about
best
Hedron,
community
Icosa
that
group.
that I've seen. Just the Hex Richard Hart community. And I think it's because the incentives are set up to encourage a good community.
I'd love to talk about it. I gotta go, but that's the game theory that I have to dive into. That's like the crazy game theory, like the community game theory. Like that's the stuff you do. Like I'm not there yet. Like I don't even want to think about it because it
Yeah,
is
I
true
think
though. It's
it's
like
one of
tribalism
the
is a
most
part of it
bullish
to a
aspects.
degree.
Yeah. There's a lot of good tokens on paper that fail because of the community. And I mean, you can look at things like Dogecoin and ask why did it have such price appreciation? Because people were focusing on it and talking about it. And I think it's related to the community. And Hex has the ability to to incentivize the community. When people lock up their funds, they want to see the price rise. And if anything happens, all those people that have Hex locked have a reason to focus on it. And that's going to be there for 15 years for a lot of people. And I think that's one of the strongest reasons why I don't think Hex is going away.
That's incredibly odd to think about. 15 fucking years.
Bitcoin is not 15 years old.
Dude, I'm 28. So in 15, I'm going to be 40. Wait,
Yeah, that is weird
dude, that's
to think
crazy.
about.
that's just hard to think. I got guys trolling my account that like they have like accounts from 2008, 2007. I was like 14, and they're like pretending to be me and like fucking scamming people. I'm like, look at the date. Like I wasn't tweeting when well, I guess 14-year-olds do tweet. I wasn't tweeting. I never had Twitter until crypto.
Same. I didn't understand Twitter, and now I love it.
I fucking hate it now because everyone shits on me all day now. It sucks.
Yeah, I
But
mean
I don't
it's
like hate it,
social
but it just
media. There's
changes
good
your
and bad.
interaction with it. All right, guys, I'm getting out of here. Hey, I'm gonna come in here more often now that I can't watch his videos. I'm gonna just have to chill in here and talk.
Good talking. Have a good night.
Hey, man. Hey, guys, have a great one. Hedron's gonna blow, guys. Gonna blow off top. You heard it here first. Not financial advice. Bye bye.
Thanks for coming by.
I don't think Jim Rat knows what blow off top means.
Yeah, I think you meant the opposite.
Anything newsworthy happened today? I've been working all day. I just got done. It's 7 p.m. where I'm fucking living. I miss anything good? Anything juicy?
Does anyone know why the gas on Ethereum was so high today?
I don't know specifics. I've heard that Zen obviously took a bunch of transactions, and then I hear some other tokens are having their fun at the moment. I don't know which ones.
Okay. It just seemed abnormally high. I was just kind of curious because
Yep.
I was looking at the Etherscan and Zen's on there and it has been for the past few weeks, but it didn't seem quite as crazy as it was in the early days. By that would be like 2 weeks ago.
Right. Yeah, I don't know what I was reading, but there's some other tokens. I think it's multiple projects absorbing transactions right now.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I was just curious. It seemed just very high, just out of the blue, and I just Hey, Maxim,
Could be
did
an
you?
NFT project. Sometimes NFT projects that launch or get minted up can cause that too.
Sure. Yeah. Hey, Maxim, did you see my response to you on it was in the Icosa chat? Maybe it was
I don't think so.
you were asking about the Icosa parody.
Yes, I am asking about that.
Yeah. So I kind of made a quick little note about it, but since you're here, I figured I'd bring it up. One of the things I've been thinking about is there's an icosahedron arbitrage. And I think you talked about that a little bit, but
absolutely,
as long as that arbitrage exists, people are going to take advantage of it, in my opinion. I mean, I don't see it's just money that's just laying there. As long as, like you kind of said, as long as you can spend less hedron to obtain the HSI than you get back in Icosa from selling the HSI to the contract, like people are just going to that's just money on the spot to do that. But that arbitrage will drive Icosa down and hedron up. So as long as that
Yep.
arbitrage exists, it'll probably break the Icosa parity with Hex to the
Yes.
downside because there's going to be downward pressure. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. I was just
That's
sort
what-
of
that's-
like, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see your response. I see it now. It's in
Yeah.
a different group. But,
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it sounds like we're on the
exactly.
same page with that. Like that's sort of what I've been thinking about. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's gonna break, and I think that's a bummer. I think that the ability to arbitrage would be really, really healthy through this time. But I don't think it's gonna last very long, personally. But I'm trying to build more confidence and listen to other people like you,
Sure.
hear other opinions. But
I think it's very bullish for Hedron because that's a natural drive to push the price of Hedron up. I don't know how much.
The parity remaining or the parity breaking would push Hedron up.
Arbitrage. With the arbitrage between the thing
Exactly.
is it's a slower process than like just through like a DEX because you have to go through the process of buying the auction.
Yep.
So I don't think it's going to be a matter like that arbitrage won't close in days, but I think over like once these auctions goes live, there's going to be a huge upward price pressure on Hedron because of just that arbitrage, if nothing else.
Exactly. That's what I see. I think it is going to be a little bit delayed because the auctions, like you said, you're not buying them on the market and you don't get them immediately. You got to wait till the auction's over.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, like slowed by that for sure. And I'm also thinking like people are very aware. I think that the Icosa pool, for example, is a good pool to stake in. And I think they're going to be extremely aware of it. If they're not now, they're going to be aware of it in the first couple days of auctions. So there's going to be incentive to stake, and it's going to be interesting. One of the questions I have also is the ARB value. Is the value of Icosa going to go down so low that you're going to actually save money in the short run by waiting for that ARB to break to then buy Icosa? If people are going to get, for example, if they're going to,
I'm sure what
if
you're
they're
getting
going
at,
to, if they're going to get a 25% or so return for whatever they have in the Icosa staking pool, would Icosa price drop 25%? And would it just be better to buy it then and stake it? Or because I think I can just see the parity's broken above in the last couple days. And I think it's last I looked, it was back at parity again. But I think that's because
there's a jump in the hex share rate. Anytime that jumps, it pushes the parity up. Yeah.
Absolutely. It went quite a bit above even that.
Okay.
And I think it's because people are wanting Icosa because they recognize, this is my theory, that they recognize that if they get Icosa in the pool, they're going to have something to show for it in a month. And so I think the desire now is for Icosa. I think once HSIs start, it may flip. Instead of trying to break above parity, I think Icosa is going to push below parity. And like I was saying, I wonder if that would be a good time to buy. I think I'm in the minority of people that are thinking this through. I would love if people were waiting to buy because then it would be more likely that parity remains for longer or it's closer. And that would be downside protection. And I think it would enable more HSIs to be purchased for more Hedron. And if HSIs are going back through the HSI buyback, that's only going to create another big HSI week or whatever, 90 days in our future, which is going to push Hedron price up again, which is going to burn more Hedron. And I really want to see that happen. But I think I'm trying to understand how big of a deal it's going to be if parity is broken, if it's going to, how much it's going to mess up the system from, if at all, or what.
Well, yeah, because people. I've actually tried to stop people from calling it a stable coin a few times when I've seen it, because but it's been behaving like one, and it's probably going to stop behaving like one after the auctions come out. You'll probably see a bit more volatility, which I think is what you're getting at. I think if the Icosa price is being pushed down because of the arbitrage thing I was talking about, that's absolutely a drive to like that should correct the dip in Icosa, because HSI is going through the arbitrage means you're getting more payout to stakers, which is an incentive for people to buy Icosa to stake. Does that make sense? Like you actually
Right.
want HSIs to recycle. That is good for the
Yes.
ecosystem. Like
Completely agree.
so anytime people are selling HSIs to sell Icosa on the market, that is inherently also an incentive for people to buy the Icosa that was just sold, because it adds incentive to be staked by just the act of
true.
selling the HSI.
Yeah,
So
the Hedron yield, for example, in the Icosa pool comes from those HSIs.
Yep.
The Hedron yield is growing as those are used. If it's used so much that it breaks parity, theoretically there's actually yield there. And you would think that might encourage people to buy. I'm curious if people are going to catch on to that, and it'll be really interesting. That's a really good point, though. I mean, there's going to be some Hedron there for those that are staked, and that could encourage people to keep pushing that Icosa back up.
Yeah, I mean, I've never run into anything like this. I've watched a lot of crypto sloth stuff, and I've kind of run through the game theory in my head. I am really interested in it. I'm invested in it and kind of curious to see where it goes. I think Alex was really smart. I think I'm really impressed by sort of the way the systems interact with each other. So there seems to be a lot of reinforcing behaviors to sort of encourage people to stay in the ecosystem, because there's lots of rewards for doing that. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yep.
Could I add to this conversation a little bit? Now, as you know, the essay is not really involved necessarily. They didn't get a huge drop of Icosa or anything. So it might be in the essay's best interest to keep Icosa up, maybe purchase some on market if it would drop to a certain level. So that's also something to consider. Just saying.
I honestly
have considered that.
I personally I do not take the essay into account. I just don't do it. I do not have. It's like a corny thing that's thrown out, but no expectations. I literally have no expectations. I think the project stands on its own, regardless of whether the essay intervenes or not.
I'm just saying, in the benefit of the essay, it might be in the benefit of the essay to have a good amount of Icosa as well.
Sure. So, and sorry, Maxim, I kind of stepped over you there. What were you saying?
Yeah, I mean, I was just recognizing that thought had crossed my mind as well. I don't see that an easy option. Just I guess they'd have to use, because the essay has Hedron, right? It doesn't have necessarily Hex or Icosa.
Anything
Yeah,
that was sacrificed for Watsas, I think it has.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. And then I think the question, if I was the essay, what I'd be thinking about, is this a one-time thing, or is this something that the essay, like, is this going to have to happen again in 90 days? Is the parody going to have to be something that he has to keep supporting? I think if it thought it was a one-time thing, it may be more encouraged to act. But I don't think it's going to want to keep doing that.
I don't think it's a huge deal if if the hex Icosa arb point breaks and Icosa goes south for a little while. That's just market cycling. We've just been in a situation where there just hasn't been anything really driving Icosa down very much. So although there has been some, and in the cases where that's happened, people have bought it back up again.
Right.
But I mean, everything goes up and down. As long as there's a demand for yield from Icosa, it will push the price back up. Yeah.
Here's some of my thoughts. If the ARB's broken, the desire to put HSIs in it is probably broken also. And if there's no HSIs going in, there's no yield. And
I thought about
probably
that.
Won't. Go ahead. Tell me.
Yeah, sorry. But the HSIs are like, even if the ARB price has a huge downward spike, people in the yield will be getting paid for 90 days worth of HSIs. Like there's a forward sort of already that have already been paid in. So I guess if you see this sort of like downward spike in Icosa, Icosa is not worth anything, but the people that are staked in it are still getting a good return from the people bidding on the HSIs going through the auction. It would have to be like the Icosa price would have to be kept down for like 90 plus days till it got to the point where, there's no yield coming in and the price is low. Does that make sense?
I like what you're saying, Jason.
Does that make
that's a really good point.
Yeah. Now, I mean, every system can break. Like, there's no, everything. There's fail cases for everything. But I do think since there is sort of this lag, like you're getting paid for the stuff that, like in theory, like we're dealing with it right now. Everyone's looking forward to this 90-day point. We're getting like the people that are invested are going to get this big payday from something that happened 90 days ago, or 6 days now. So yeah, just to reinforce what I said, there's a bit of a lag in terms of the payout of the yield versus the actual actions going on in the moment.
Yep. Yeah, I am. Yeah, I am watching like someone dumped a bunch of Icosa on the market, and it took over a day for the price to come back up.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I'm just factoring that as an example into the future. I don't know, like there's just so many HSIs, which is in the auction pool. I'm really just playing risk and reward. I'm just trying to see like, how much down pressure will that be? And if it took 2 days to recover last time, what would that look like? If the desire to sell Icosa was continuing for a longer period of time. I don't know. It'll be interesting to watch for sure. I think I've felt since the very beginning of Icosa that the big HSI days are going to be really a defining point in my mind of the confidence of the whole system, because I thought it was going to be a really big test, and I still think that's the case. I do think that it will take like we're not going to know the first day. It's like you said, it's a 90-day thing. It'll be a while until we see if Icosa does, for example, recover, I think. And that if I see Icosa recover well, back to parity, then that is going to be something that for me, I'm probably going to be a lot more confident in the system. And at that point, I'd be willing to put a lot more money in it, but we'll see.
I understand your point. In some way, the Icosa ceiling price is maybe the Achilles heel of the system. Everything else seems to reinforce pushing up. The Icosa price, when it drops, the only way it's going to go back up is perceived benefit from staking. So, and if for whatever reason things kind of fall apart, that would be the Achilles heel. I mean, the thing is, like, I agree what you're saying. Like the 90-day point is going to be a big thing. I think just looking at the numbers, I suspect it's going to go well. Like either way, either a whole bunch of Hedron is going to be burned, or the price of Hedron is going to get pushed up, or both. Either way, the system's going to be doing what it's supposed to be doing. I think the real telling point is going to be at the 1 year when the pre-burn stops paying out. There needs to be enough HSIs to sort of be cycling through the system to be self-perpetuating. That's going to be the real testing point. So
I agree.
This 90, I think the 60, 90 days, there's been a really good start. I think we're really going to have to watch for the full year. But on the plus side, for this first year, like that pre-burn, like I'm earning, like the yield is really good. Like regardless of even if we didn't get a single HSI buyback payout for this entire year, it would be worth investing. Like it's really hard to beat. Of course, as your share in the pool goes down, blah 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 blah. But it's really good, just the pre-burn payout. So in my opinion, do your own research, yada yada. But so like this first year, there's strong incentive to buy and stake. I think it's going to be after the year. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yep. Yeah, I'm looking to the next 90 days already, and that, like, how this works out, it like will give me an idea if things are going to continue to recycle, which will give me an idea if after the year's up, if things will continue.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Well, cool, man. It was good talking to you. Good talking to everybody. I'm glad I had a chance to kick around those ideas about the Hedron Icosa arbitrage. I think that's going to be an important thing to pay attention to.
Yep.
How you doing,
Well, I
guys?
hope you guys have a good night. I'm gonna turn in. Thanks for talking.
Yeah, have a good night.
Fellow giant.
How you doing, guys? Can you hear me?
Hey, Java, good to see you, man. How's work? I mean,
Today sucked. Today sucked. I'm still driving home right now. That's why it's hard for me to talk.
feel that, man. I was like listening earlier, but I was kind of like AFK. But that was pretty cool discussion.
So if anybody's listening in the chat, and they're more than likely to do well, right, in their finances. If you become rich and you get a nice big mansion somewhere, uh, do your septic guy a favor and don't uh, disallow using their driveway or your driveway. It's a real pain in the ass sometimes. I had one today, 400 feet. It took me 3 and 3/4 hours to get that fucker clean.
You're talking about
That's how,
because you got to get the hose, right?
yeah, you run a hose to the septic tank and you
Like
suck
that.
the shit out. Yeah. Be
How,
nice, be
what,
kind to your septic guy,
did they give
and
you
let
a
him use your
reason why?
driveway.
What did they give you a reason? They just like, nah.
Oh, they probably just don't want like black marks on their nice, pretty driveway or some shit.
Fucking nerve some of these people have.
Probably old money.
No, nobody was home. They got a nice FedEx delivery guy. He was able to use the driveway. Not me. No, no. I had to run fucking down a hill too. So pulling that shit was it was tough. It was real tough. Yeah, yeah. They got fucking dogs too. I stepped in their dog shit. Them motherfuckers. Yeah,
Shit.
dude. I worked the sewer business for 10 years, and I traveled all over the Midwest. I've been in thousands of manholes. I did municipal stuff, and I quit because I thought, oh, I sacked a shit ton for Pulse Chain and Pulse X, like my whole 401ks, right? I dumped it, and I thought I'd retire early. You know, I quit for 10 months, like a total degenerate, and now I'm back to working because, you know, I could only prolong it so long. You know, not paying bills and being a fucking degenerate. So yeah, now I'm fucking in the shit business again. I can't get away from it, man. I got a 5 year old. Well, he's using the toilet now, which is great. He's pretty good at it, but still gotta wipe his ass, you know. So it's like, man, I'm just ready. I'm ready to not have to deal with shit. I'll tell you.
I think sometimes we have to take 2 steps back before we take a giant leap forward. So I hope that's the case for you, my brother.
Thanks, man. You too. For everybody in here. Anybody that's into Hedron and Icosa, I know we're gonna do well. It's just a matter of time. And you know, by default, Hex as well. You know. Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. I know what's going on in there. Sure.
What? What?
I'm an
Wait, wait,
artist.
wait, wait.
I should
No,
know.
come on, drop some info, Jawa. We see. Wait, your thing changed. Why'd you take your NFT down?
What do you mean? Why did I take my NFT down? What do you mean?
I thought it was you who had the NFT picture already. Was that? I don't know. Maybe I'm mistaken.
You mean like on Twitter?
I'm sorry. As your picture for your Telegram. Maybe I'm confusing you with someone else.
I mean, technically, this is an NFT I did. The one my profile picture. That's one I assigned to myself. Um, Luckily, as an artist, we were offered the chance to, if we have any Wattses of our own, that we could assign our personal art to it. Um, so, but yeah,
I
man,
didn't
like
realize that. I missed that. I didn't realize that. So how'd that process go, and how many people did that, and is it still available?
nope. We are done creating art. I mean, there's a couple people still creating more to just kind of go into the pool, but we got well over 22,000. Because yeah, a couple. There's like one or two that really went balls out, and they also use more than Midjourney. There's another program that you can use. I can't remember the name of it. I didn't use it. That can crank out more than four at a time. Midjourney, you can only do like four at a time, and you gotta wait, and it takes a little time. But yeah, yeah. I mean, like that's yeah. It's gonna be random. Basically, you could get lucky and get something kick-ass that you love, or you could get some little fuzzy creature that you don't really fucking love that much. And maybe that'll incentivize you to burn it. Who knows? Or sell it on fucking um, OpenSea or something. I will give you guys a little alpha. I'll give you a little alpha. Maybe
Yes,
you'll
yes.
search it out. I think there's gonna be some Easter eggers, like a couple. Like, are you guys familiar with the Ethereum rock, NFT, uh, Lamo art? Are you familiar with the rock? Okay, well, basically, it's just, I mean, shit, there's like pretty much all these pixelated, shitty. I think they're shitty because they're not graphically pleasing to me, but these little fucking 8 megapixel fucking pictures of people, right? I don't even know what to call them. It's the
Yeah,
punks.
yeah.
Well, anyway, well, I mean, I don't think we have any punks, but we do have a couple Easter eggs I think everybody's done one, or at least most of the artists have done one. There's only like 11 or 12 artists, um, but there's we all stuck in like a shitty hand drawn on fucking MS Paint Easter egger. So you could get lucky and get one of those. You know what I mean? Like, who knows? Maybe it'll be worth more, right? Because it's so shitty looking. I don't know.
Yeah. You never know what people will pay for what.
Yeah, and Alex actually made some. That might be worth something to somebody if you got an Alex made NFT. You know, he didn't make that many, but maybe that gives it more value because he made less. I don't know.
Thanks for the update, man.
No problem. I mean, it's all speculation. Like, we don't know how much value, if any, that this art will add. I think it will,
Yeah.
you know. Um, and a lot of the artists are man, they got a good style to them. Let me tell you, I kind of headhunted a few of the artists myself, and I couldn't be more proud of the people I brought in there. They did shit better than me, to be honest with you. Like, I don't know, like I really am proud of all the artists. Some of the shit is just outstanding. Um, and I mean, Midjourney is awesome because like I'm not a true artist in the sense that I can't draw my ass from a fucking hole in the ground. You know what I mean? Like you put a pen and a piece of paper down, and I can draw like basically like fifth grade level. You know what I mean? It's like, but like, and then Midjourney can really bring out some cool ideas that you might have in your head. And I've seen everybody progress as they started playing with it because it's kind of a new thing, and get better and better, and the art just keeps getting better and better. So, like, honestly, uh, when we had enough of the art all done, a lot of us just deleted like all our first fucking shit. You know what I mean? Like we deleted a lot because we we realized that like our first shit wasn't that good. You know what I mean? It was good at that moment. It felt good, but like we just kept getting better and better. So like I'm really proud of how it all looks. The shit I've seen. Obviously 22,000. It's hard to look at everything. Looked at a good majority of it. So yeah. Alex has been so busy. Like, if any of us catch his ear, it's for a minute. We had a meeting, a voice chat meeting, and we all talked about what we needed to get done. And the deadline was 17th, 18th, which was what, 2 days ago. So that criteria is met, and now it's just on Alex really. Um, I know he's working on making sure all this other stuff is tight first, with the HSIs. That's like first and foremost before any of this playing with the art shit. So, but we've got it to the point where it's all organized, it's in folders, it's resized to the spec, and yeah, it's just on him now. So, it could be any time, really, honestly. And I kind of want to know myself. I want to know a release date so that me and Executioner can have a Twitter space and bring all the artists in to talk, and we can just like, have a little party, a launch, hype it up a little bit maybe, and I think that'd be fun. I mean, I'm sure you guys know a couple of the artists, like Kismet. Kismet is one of them. So, and dude, I love his shit. It's awesome. And his style is like unlike everybody else's. I don't even know how to describe it. It's fucking cool as shit.
That sounds great, man. Thank you.
No problem. Hey man, put a quarter in me. I'll start talking. sometimes.
Back to work for me. Thanks, guys. See ya.
Later.